Monster, 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 scary monster.
Monster, how should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through the window. Monster, how should I feel? Creatures lie here, looking through the window. Monster, how should I feel? Creatures lie.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe down below. As you know, on the Creepy Files, we love all things creepy. And it's that time of year. So for the next 50 days, we'll be doing state-by-state ghost stories, all leading up to Halloween. Also around this time, we'd love to throw in a few subscriber stories here and there, so don't forget to send them in. We're gonna start with Alabama, but anyways, let's creep into this video. Our first ghost story is the Carrollton Courthouse. The Carrollton Courthouse burned down twice. The first time occurred during the Civil War and the second in 1867. Since the town just rebuilt the building prior to the second arson, the locals looked for someone to blame. The blame fell on a local troublemaker, Henry Wells. Wells was charged with arson, burglary, assault with intention to murder, and carrying a concealed weapon. After he was convicted of these crimes, a mob formed outside the courthouse, demanding Wells be handed over to them. Wells looked out at the mob. Lightning then struck and killed him at the window where he stood. The image of his face can still be seen today in the glass as clearly as you could over 100 years ago. Cleaning with any amount of force has not been able to erase the image. Our next story comes from the Cedarhurst Mansion. There is a mansion in Huntsville that is reportedly haunted by the ghost of 15-year-old Sally Carter. The mansion in 1823 was built by Stephen Ewing. Sally was visiting her sister Mary Ewing when she had gotten sick and died on November 28, 1837. Sightings of Sally began in 1919 when a teenage boy had a dream about her while staying in the mansion. In the dream, Sally told the boy to fix her tombstone, which had been knocked over by a storm. He went to the grave and the tombstone was knocked over. Over the years, witnesses say they've seen Sally in the mansion and near her grave. The next story is from the Drish house. Several tragedies fell on the Drish family, including suicide, murder, and insanity. The first tragedy was that of daughter Catherine. Catherine was forced to marry a man her father chose for her instead of the man she loved. She became deeply depressed after her wedding. Her husband was unable to handle her in the depressive state, so he took her and their 2 children back to the house and divorced her. Catherine could not function properly. She had to be locked in her room at night and followed around during the day to ensure she didn't harm herself. The next tragedy was the death of Dr. Drish. He had a habit of drinking and gambling and drove his family to ruin. One evening he was delirious and he ran from his bed and headed towards the staircase. He fell halfway down the stairs and died. Another story is the ghost fires. A custom at the time was to place candles around the room where a body was laid to rest. Drish's wife Sarah conducted the ceremony for her husband and put the candles in a drawer, hoping they'd be lit for her when she died. Her ceremony was forgotten. One day after her death, the slaves on the grounds noticed the tower was on fire. They called for the fire crew. When the crew arrived, the flames disappeared and any evidence of being burned. Once the fire disappeared, so did Mrs. Drish's ghost. Then their niece Helen was struck with tragedy. Helen had a husband who was jealous of her beauty and popularity. So one morning, he attacked her in the bathroom and slit her throat. He spent years in a mental institution before he was released. He'd become a railroad tycoon. The workers at the mansion refuse to touch Helen's things because they believe they are haunted. The next story is of the Jameson Van de Graaff house. The home is located in Tuscaloosa. It was one of the first houses to have running water and a coal heating system. The home was built in 1859 by Robert Jameson de Graaff, Jr. It is believed the home is haunted by Graaff's daughter, Priscilla, and her husband, Andrew. Andrew had an incurable headache for years caused by a bullet wound in the head. Eventually, the pain was unbearable, so he shot himself. Priscilla was distraught and fell into a deep depression and hysteria. 8 years later, she died. Next, we will discuss the Dead Children's Playground. Maple Hill Cemetery in Huntsville is the largest and oldest in Alabama. The 100-acre cemetery was founded in 1822. Nearby, there is a playground where it is rumored that children's spirits go to play. Those spirits aren't just those of the cemetery. In the 1960s, there was a series of child abductions, and the bodies were left around the playground. Visitors have reported seeing swings move with no explanation, orbs and mysterious figures. In 2008, the Alabama Paranormal Society heard a female voice and in pictures they took, a woman's figure is seen. Well guys, that's all we have for you today. Stay tuned and keep watching. If you want more videos like this, give this video a big thumbs up. If you made it to the end, leave a comment below. As always, thank you for watching the Creepy Files. Stay creepy.